Hi, this is my second video. This one's going to be about spirits. As you can see from behind me, there's a fair few Scotches or Japanese whiskies up there. And I'd say those styles of whiskey are my number one, absolute favourite. But they're also not cheap, especially once you get a taste for the good stuff. It's almost impossible to go back. And the problem is there's a lovely snobbish culture around Scotch particularly, that supports a very high price per unit of the goods. So what this video is specifically about is good drinks, good spirits for people who like good Scotches that are cheap, because this day and age living costs are going up in Australia, incomes aren't, so if you want to keep drinking good stuff, it's going to get harder and harder, because they're only going to get more expensive, and everyone's got a budget. So the way to go when it comes to getting good stuff that's cheap is unfortunately not Scotch, like I said, because of that culture. But if you have a palate that enjoys the complex flavours of proper Scotch and good stuff, chances are, if you're willing to try other spirits, there's a lot of really good stuff that doesn't have that same culture, and so you can get away with stuff at a much cheaper price. So my first foray into that was actually bourbon. I tried some bourbon in the past, but it wasn't good. So what happened there, what fixed me there was a mate of mine. We were having a night of nice drinks, cigars and the like, and he said, "What bourbons have you got?" And I said, "No, mate, this is a night for nice things. Why would I have bourbon? It's shit." And he called me on it, called me on my bullshit, and said, "Well, what bourbons have you tried? You know, maybe you've only had bad ones." So I went through what I'd had, and he said, "That's rubbish. You're judging bourbon by the same standard that you wouldn't judge Scotch. Right? You wouldn't possibly drink a Johnny Walker anymore. So you can't judge bourbon by the same standard as Scotch." So he had me dead to rights. He was 100% correct. So I said, "Recommend me a bourbon that's good, and we'll give it a go." So the one he recommended was this one here. It's Blanton's Private Reserve. Goes for around $70 a bottle. So not cheapest, but not too expensive, right? As far as good stuff goes. And it is phenomenal. Straight away, from a Scotch drinker's perspective, it was delicious. So obviously, as a bourbon, it's different grains, so you're going to get a different flavour profile. So rather than your woody, smoky, peaty flavours that you'd expect in a Scotch, it's a lot sweeter, a lot more caramelly, but still got a little bit smoke, but very rich, delicious, still quite woody. So for a Scotch drinker, it's basically a bit sweeter version of Scotch. You can think of it. Blanton's absolutely phenomenal. One of my favourites. You can get some nicer varieties. This is Blanton's Gold. Absolutely gorgeous bottle. You can see with the print there that is totally transparent bottle. Gorgeous thing. All hand numbered. Even the Private Reserves hand numbered. Now, the problem with the gold is in Australia it's about $480, which is too much. I'm not going to spend that. In Japan, however, where they don't tax alcohol by volume at all, you can pick up a bottle of that bottle from Japan, from a local bottle for about $50 Australian. So cheaper than the Private Reserve here in Australia. So if you're in Japan, make sure you take some extra bags and stock up on your spirits, because it's fabulously cheap there, which is great. But another good find, I was cooking a pulled pork. It's going to be slow cooked in a broth for 2 days. Turned out really well. But one of the key ingredients is bourbon, of course. But you don't want to be throwing your $70 bottle Blanton's into a slow cooker for a dish. So you want to get something cheap. But you want to get something cheap that you also will want to drink, because you're not going to use the whole bottle in the pork. So my wife picked up this one here, Hogs 3 bourbon. It was quite cheap by our standards. Like she said, it was between $30 and $40. So yeah, really cheap, cheaper than some other rubbish brands. So I had some of that last night. Gonna have some now. It's great for the price. It's not as rich and complex as Blanton's, but it certainly is very drinkable, and lovely smell, and it doesn't have any of the nasty characters that your cheap bourbons have. That dirtiness. It's got earthiness, but it's not. Doesn't taste like rot. You can see there, lovely colour. This is the Norland glass. If you haven't seen these before, it was a Kickstarter for basically the most scientifically perfect whiskey glass, which, let's be honest, I'm a science nerd. I was always going to buy it. Got a couple for myself and a couple for my brother. Absolutely phenomenal. Keeps it chilled if you want it chilled. The veins on the inside help mix water in if you like folding your water in, and just aesthetically, absolutely lovely. It's got a bit of sharpness up front, but again, honey, very smooth, nice honey tones, not bad at all for a really cheap bourbon. Can't really say much more on it. It's pretty simple flavour, but it's nice. So if you're looking for a cheap but nice bourbon, Hog 3. If you're looking for a little bit more quality, Blanton's. Now, if I was to put a number on Blanton's, if it was a Scotch in terms of quality, so you can compare if you're a Scotch guy or lady, Blanton's is about, I would say, as good as a Scotch you'd expect to pay $150 for. So 60, 70, 80 depending on availability, is a great price for Blanton's. And one thing I didn't know until just recently, so I'll give you the heads up, is the corks have this guy on a horse on them, but they're not all the same. You can see there's an S there on the thing, and there's actually 8 different ones, all with the different letter spelling Blanton's, that actually portray a horse at all stages through its gallop, which is just plain nifty. Nice little marketing tool. I don't even push that. It's just a nice little surprise. So unfortunately, I've been drinking this for a while. Probably gone through well more than 8 bottles over the years, but never collected the caps. So here we go. We're going to have to start from here. Which is a bit of a shame. Another place to look isn't just bourbons. We have quite similar flavour profiles, albeit sweeter than the Scotches, is actually tequila. So tequila is famously a drink to get wrecked on, and there's all called margaritas, and it's good to mix with, but it's actually delicious. My sister-in-law helped me out there. I'd had bad tequila in my younger days, as we all do, but I was over at hers and she asked if I wanted a tequila, and she gave me a shot with the lime and the salt. Didn't enjoy the lime and the salt very much, but I did very much enjoy the tequila itself. So I asked for another one, but I just sipped it like I would a Scotch, rather than shooting it with the salt and lime, and it was great. Now the one she'd given me wasn't bargain basement, but it was definitely not good stuff. Probably equivalent to the Hogs there in terms of bourbons. So she goes, "Oh, I actually like to drink it." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's quite nice." And she goes, "Do you want a nice one?" She gave me one that she picked up from Mexico, I believe, or somewhere else in Central America while she was on holiday, called Mañana, which of course is Spanish for tomorrow. Really nice bottle, large, wide-bottomed, square or rectangle red bottle, with a pewter plate on it for the label, which was really nice. But it blew my mind. It was amazingly good. You can't get it here. You can't get it anywhere outside of Mexico, I don't think. So that's a bit of a shame. I looked online, couldn't find a reseller, but that was my first, high shelf tequila, and it was great. So looked around, went to some of my favorite bars, had a look at the tequilas that they've got, had a taste, and there's some seriously good tequilas out there, absolutely drinkable. So again, same thing. With the bourbons, you can get good stuff for a lot cheaper than you would a Scotch. There is, however, a bit of a drawback. It's not as popular as bourbon is with people who like to drink. So what that means, or like to drink stuff that tastes nice anyway. So what that means is you've sort of got a mid-level of stuff that's mass-produced, that's readily available for a good price, and is very drinkable, very good. But once you go to the higher level stuff that's getting close to the Blantons or top level whiskies, they're actually really hard to get, and so they end up being a bit more expensive. So it's sort of a low level where it's still drinkable and great. If you want to go to the really nice stuff, you're going to end up paying Scotch prices, basically. So there's a couple that I can recommend. Art de Nom is a really interesting thing that tequila does. So nom is the term for the license number of a distillery in South America. So if you're going to make tequila or mezcal, you have a nom. It's just a 4-digit number that identifies the distillery. So what Art de Nom do, plain labeling across their whole range, and it's just the number. So no branding, you don't have to pay for unique bottles, just a clear white bottle with a white label. Looks quite nice, kind of like a certificate. But that way they can internationally distribute, even if that local distillery doesn't have the financial capacity or desire even to ship internationally. But that's awesome because bars, consumers, me, can access these local distilleries. You wouldn't be able to get their product from any other way, which is pretty unique and cool. So the one that I fell in love with is the Art de Nom 1145, so 1145. It's a reposado, which is one of the aged kinds of tequila, and it is just phenomenal. It's peppery, it's rich, smooth, clean at the end. It's just magic. So absolutely recommend that if you ever find a bottle, or if you're in Central South America, look up the distillery that's nom 1145 and check it out. Go and enjoy it. I'm sure it's very hard to move through Mexico without finding quality distilleries for tequila though. But in terms of what you can get regularly, that is good value. There's one you get from Dan Murphy's for $40, sometimes 45. Espolon, or Espolone, not 100% sure. I like the Reposado. This one here, you can get the Añejo, which is the more aged ones, darker color, stronger, richer, spicier flavors. But the Reposado is good because the Añejo, flavors are a lot stronger. So it's not necessarily as good for mixing if you're going to make cocktails. Then again, the Blanco, your clear tequilas, totally white ones, have a less rich flavor. I like strong, meaty, rich flavors. So Reposado is a good mix of mixability as well as great to drink on its own. So that's my regular tequila, just to drink by itself. I occasionally mix it. Haven't opened this one yet because I am going to infuse it with chilies. So chipotles, if you probably heard that term before, are smoked jalapenos, and they're delicious, and they go really well in tequila. So you can steep them, so you chuck a few chipotle into the tequila bottle, leave it for a day or so, take them out, and then you've got the smoky and the spice of the chili in the tequila, which is great. So I already experimented once and failed pretty hard. So I'm a bit of a chili fiend. I love my spicy food, my chilies a lot. And the good news for Australians is that they recently started growing and mass producing, farming the hotter and hottest chilies in the world locally. So your Carolina Reapers, Trinidad Scorpions, and Ghost Nagers or Bootalurkies, which is great because they're delicious. So habaneros as well. Now the reason why you have to grow them locally is it's actually illegal to post them because they're so spicy. They're a weapon, which is quite funny. So pepper spray is made from the active ingredient in chilies. If you weren't aware, that's why it's called pepper spray. And it is nowhere near as hot as these chilies. So essentially, there are regulations that are put in place saying you can't internationally ship things with a concentration of this chemical above a certain amount to stop people from shipping weapons, i.e. pepper spray. So unfortunately, that means you can't get chilies that are hot unless you have a license and you're a food business producer or supplier. So it's a problem when you just want to cook with them or just want to eat them. Or you want to put them in tequila. But they started growing locally in Australia, or at least in Canberra, where I am, about probably 2 years ago. Started showing up in local shops, which has been great. So I was a bit silly, and I went to the 9s, as I usually do, turned it up to 11, and I decided to infuse my tequila with Carolina Reapers, which are, at the time, were the #1 hottest chili in the world. So I chopped up one Carolina Reaper and I put it in the tequila. And speaking to the guys I know who'd done the chipotle, they said you don't want to leave it much more than 72 hours because then sugars start to change and it wrecks the tequila. It doesn't taste as good. But obviously, the longer you leave it in, the more flavor of the chipotle gets into the tequila and the more spice gets into the tequila, so the hotter it gets. And the one that they used in their bar, like a bar, was 48 hours. So I kept it in for 2 days, and it was a really good balance of flavors. It was delicious. But knowing that Carolina Reapers are a fair bit hotter than a jalapeno, I put in one Carolina Reaper, and about 6 hours later, I gave it a taste test. Floored me. I was in agony. Immediately, panically, ran around the kitchen trying to get the Carolina Reapers out of the tequila before it got even worse. And so now it's up there on my shelf with a label stuck to it, infused with Carolina Reapers. Do not drink. So that's there for parties. People are silly, they want to give it a go. But also if you have a cold coming on, get a flu, just a really quick, tiny shot of that will clean your nose and throw it out quick smart. Won't be the nicest experience. It's certainly not something you'd want to drink any day of the week. But a friend of mine from high school who lives up in Brisbane now makes his own spicy sauces and jams, and he's smoked a bunch of cayenne peppers, so a little bit hotter than a jalapeno, not as fleshy, but still should be delicious. And he sent those down via another friend. I should have those this week to infuse into this bottle here. So I'll probably do a video on that to let you know how it goes. And anything I learn from that, I might screw it up again, but we'll see how we go, and hopefully it will be delicious. In the meantime, I'm going to polish off this bourbon, and we'll talk again soon. Cheers.